Welcome to my review for Severance Episode 3. And once again, we're back in the mind-bending, trippy world of Severance. And the first thing that really struck me this episode is how much I'm just loving the mood and atmosphere and the tone of this series. The soundtrack in particular really stood out to me this episode. That kind of haunting piano and then the strings coming up behind it. Just gorgeous music, really kind of terrifying, but kind of like beautiful in like kind of a haunting way. So I'm really liking just the feel of the episode. And it was once again directed by Ben Stiller. So turns out he can do scary, spooky, thriller TV series, which I don't know, my mind just goes straight to Zoolander, where he's like, whoa. You know, so I don't know, it's just crazy to think that he's now making this kind of show, really exciting. So in the first two episodes, it's kind of like, okay, so is it going to be an experiment, or is it this, or is it that, or is it some kind of sciencey kind of thing? But it was all kind of focused on the inside Lumen, like inside the workplace. But this episode, we're revealed that the old lady boss, Mrs. Medium, from Medium, I can't remember her name, but she is out on the real world as his neighbor. And at first, it's kind of like, oh, that's a fun little coincidence. Maybe she knows because she's the boss, but I kind of presumed it's like, oh, she's so different because she has no idea who she's like in the work world or whatever. And so that's just a fun little thing. But now it's revealed, bam, straight away, so early on, that she is totally aware of both worlds. So she hasn't had the severance, which kind of makes me wonder if all the management haven't had like the severance and it's just these workers. And that's really kind of fascinating and kind of terrifying, because at first it's like, okay, well, at least in his home life, he's safe from whatever mad cap experiment science, whatever the hell's going on. But it appears that it's kind of, an experiment on both ends, and that they are monitoring him Mark at least, but I have to presume everybody. And another line that really stood out is he's like, oh, how's your neighborhood? He's like, no, the neighborhood's not very busy at all. Like, it's just me, my old lady neighbor, and the street didn't really fill out. What do you mean the street didn't fill out? Is this like a fake street? Is this fake as well? Like, what's going on? Like, I don't know. Him having that guy from the drinks party, the dinner party, come and deliver his book made me feel like, okay, so some people are still real, but it appears to be that I'm thinking this whole neighborhood, this whole street is going to be filled with just the people from Lumen, from the work office. So I kind of think it's going to be revealed that maybe Helly is also on that street, like living just a couple of rows down, and maybe one of the other management people is staying next to her. But all of that is really awesome and really fascinating. I really like the idea that it's an experiment in both the work side of it and the life side of it, because, I don't know, that's just crazy. What's going on? I'm so intrigued. I'm so curious as to what is actually going on. I have more of a feeling as we go on that the work they're doing, there's only like a couple of options of what it is, and I'm really unsure where I want it to go. Like, do I want it to be kind of something dystopian and sinister? Like, what are they up to? Or is it just simply like an experiment, like a mad scientist kind of experiment? Or is there something else to it? Like, are they trying to actually figure something else? Like, are the scientists kind of actually trying to figure something out through this? Like, are they trying to split the brain to do something, like to cure a cancer or to cure this, or to split the mind into different ways to maybe stop dementia? Or I don't know. Like, I don't know. They'd have to do some science bloody word, smithery to get through that and to kind of make us all buy that. But I think that would be the most interesting idea, is if they're doing this to kind of further science and to somehow kind of further develop the human brain by splitting them. And this is simply the first stage in an experiment, or maybe the second or third stage, but I think that would be really exciting. Because so far the work seems to be so kind of bizarre and so otherworldly and so surreal and kind of like hard to grasp. Oh, you feel the emotions of the numbers. It doesn't seem real at this point. I was thinking maybe we'd get like a little hint of something more to it, but it seems to be just this. That's what they do all day, every day. And so I think if it does fall into that kind of classic dystopian kind of, we're a sinister evil company, and we're up to no good, we are murdering people, and the way they're using the numbers, it's helping them murder people. That seems kind of like, I don't know, I feel like that's almost too easy for this to fall into like the big corporate business, it's evil, it kills people, or whatever. So I'm really hoping it's that through all this kind of bizarreness and weirdness, and PD is kind of tripping out, he's like, this isn't good, it isn't good. Well, I really think it would be really cool to have that twist be like, no, actually, what Lumen are doing in their end game is good, Maybe how they're getting there, not so good for the couple of volunteers. But at this stage, it does seem like they are volunteers. Like, Mark, we find out his wife, like, we knew something tragic happened, but this week we find out it was a car crash, a tragic car crash, so presumably someone else was the cause. So I'm thinking now that we know that Mark had something tragic happen to him, I'm wondering if Helly will kind of be like, different to that, where she has done something herself that she can't live with, and that's why the innie, who keeps trying to get out of the workplace and all these fun shenanigans, hijinks, we're just trying to drink the code and do all this kind of stuff, but the Audi seems to be constantly coming back in or wanting to come back in like we saw last episode. So what I think is going to happen, theory time, this is my big theory. I think that Helly caused the car crash, so was in the other car driving and killed Mark's wife. And so she can't live with it. It was an accident, presumably an accident, so that's why she's in there. And so later on, when all their brains start merging together like Petey's is, they can both be like, oh God, we know each other, and, extra trauma, extra drama. So I'm calling it, big call right now, big theory call. I think that is what her kind of origin will be, but I definitely think it'll be something that she has done, rather than Mark's, which is something that's kind of happened to him, with his wife dying unrelated to him. Unless it's revealed that he was driving, it was his fault. But at this stage, it doesn't really feel like it's going that way with his character. But yeah, on Helly, I'm absolutely loving her just trying to get out. It's so kind of horrifying and tragic, but there's a little bit of kind of fun, hijinks play with it all. And that moment where they're like, we're taking a field trip, let's do a field trip. And they go and have a wander around the halls and stuff. And there's a moment where they're like, oh, let's play bingo. Do all the stupid stuff he's going to say. John Turturro's character, everyone's least favorite employee. The one, everyone has one at work. We all know that guy at work. And it's a joy to see him just kind of relish the opportunity to just kind of like, I don't know, he's just chewing scenery. He's just like, nom, 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 nom. Oh, that scenery. And he's just so good. It's so enjoyable to watch him play this really kind of unpleasant character. I'm really hoping we get an origin to why he chose to be in there, and that it is unbearably tragic, and that I fall deeply in love with the character, and I'm so sad and angry at myself for hating this guy that we now kind of, I don't know, I love to hate him. He's so just like, ugh. But he's really, really fun to watch. I love the bingo thing. I love the bonding scene. I really, really like the moment where Helly was just like, oh, I think we should maybe, next time we see Christopher Walken and his crew of whatever the hells, we kill Mark. We've got blood all over us. And I'm wearing him he's wearing his face as a face and a mask and all this absolutely bonkers stuff. And I was like, oh, that's cute. They're bonding. That's super cute. They're bonding. She didn't think they'd bond, but they're bonding. So I love that. Really, really great fun. The whole field trip, a lot of fun. In particular, I love the moment in this episode as well where she's trying to eat the code, and she's like, oh, I can figure this out. And then Mark's just like, Adam Scott just killing the straight man. Absurdity everywhere, and his reaction will always be the funniest moment. Him just so kind of nonchalantly, kind of almost like passive aggressive, where he's like, he's saying it calmly, but there's such a level of malice to it where he's like, you don't really want to lie about where it is in your body, because he's gonna pick an orifice and he's gonna get it out. Where are they? What is happening at Lumen? It's so horrible and horrifying, and this episode really went beyond that kind of original premise of like, oh, bloody 9 to 5, you're trapped in a cage of 9 to 5, and this is a metaphor or whatever. And this time, this episode really went, no, this is a crazy, insane sci-fi show. I mean, it was that, but this one really kind of ramped it up. We've got Petey tripping out, mind tripping out, where he's like flashing from work to home, from the past to the present, and he's freaking out. I really loved the creative camera work and filmmaking and just the direction of all that, the way it's snapping back and forth on his mind. At the end of the episode where he's like faints, where he's getting arrested, I really hope he isn't dead or dying, and I really hope we get a lot more of the character. I mean, I guess if other characters start getting unsevered or whatever you call it, and we get more of that, because I really, really found that really engaging, kind of terrifying for the character, but really fun for us as the audience to watch the filmmakers kind of play around with snapping back and forth from the work life, and the life. And I found that really, really fun. I want more of that. When that was happening, I was just like, oh, I'm eating this up. I'm loving it. Another horrifying element was when Petey's like, oh, you think you don't know what's going on when you're in the work life, but Every time you'd come in with red eyes and we're like, oh, he's got elevator allergies. And then Petey's like, but I knew you were coming in because you were crying, because you're sad, but you don't know why you're sad. And you knew that you were sad. And the work you knows that you're sad, but you just don't know why you're sad. And the idea of being sad but not realizing why you're sad is horrific. It's terrifying. To lose that part of you and to not know why you have this feeling and this sorrow is just horrific. And so I think that is also another kind of element as to why I think that maybe Lumen and the science and the scientists and all the experiments and all whatever behind this is maybe to try and figure something out or to solve some kind of disease, because they're trying to, like, you know, split the brain in a certain way to kind of maybe isolate something. So I think that could be a really, really interesting way for this to go and not to feel a bit cliche and like science, big corporation, evil. You know, I'm just so excited to see where this is going. Every single kind of mystery thread that they kind of like, you know, they're like, ooh, maybe we're revealing something, but then they're kind of like hiding something else at the same time. So I'm really, really having the mystery element of it all so exciting. The thriller part of it all, with it just like the tension and the mood and the atmosphere, I'm absolutely loving. This show is honestly surprising me at every turn. It's so much fun. The acting, the cast, they're all doing so well. And yeah, just can't wait for more. I would love to hear people's theories in the comments. What do you think is going on here at Lumen? Do you think the neighborhood part of it is also kind of part of the experiment? Do you think it's an experiment? Do you think they're trying to solve some kind of, you know, sciencey kind of thing with the brain? Or are you thinking it's an evil corporation doing evil things? But yeah, comment, let me know. Would love to hear what everyone thinks, and like, subscribe. I'll be doing every single episode every week, I think. But yeah, I'm definitely going to be doing it at this point. At first I was like, I might do it to see how I'm feeling. But yeah, this episode blew me away. Super excited to see more. And yeah, catch you next week.